What's up guys, Sanford here from Virtual Boomerang, back with even more Crash Bandicoot Reddit videos. I've been creating more polls, you guys have been voting in them. I've been collating the results and creating this video. This time around we are focusing on the one you've all been waiting for. It's a very long time coming. But what is r/Crash Bandicoot's favourite Crash Nitro Kart racetrack in Nitro Fueled? Again, per Hub World. I, of course, started by asking, what is your favourite Terra racetrack in CTR Nitro Fueled? Pepe3088 found it hard as these were some of his favourite tracks in CNK. Nearly 300 of you voted. Here are the results. Third place, with a lowly 26 votes, is Inferno Island. Ugh, the absolute worst track in the game, in my opinion. It tries too hard to be Crash Co, and boy does it show. An unpopular track with Redditors too, it seems. CTR Gama produced a wonderful comment, listing the pros and cons of each track, making my job a hell of a lot easier. This is what he said for Inferno Island. Inferno Island, easy, small, linear. Some items are too powerful, especially missiles. You can't really evade them since the track is mostly straight. Only one effective turbo pad. The other one is so far off of the optimal line that going through it loses more time than you gain through SF, causing some balance issues when items are in effect. Very simplistic, i.e. gameplay mostly revolves around power sliding close to the wall. No interesting shortcuts. The one at the start is free and saves barely any time. Bland and stale. No hazards, no cycles. Bad WUMPA crate placements, extremely close to the walls or far off the optimal line. Okay, second place with 93 votes is Jungle Boogie. Crunk's home racetrack, and a very colourful one nonetheless. Here's what people had to say about it. User M28A says, as much as the short tracks are bad picks in general, I still prefer those over the unholy tiny temple. There's only 2 turbo pads in it, and they barely give reserves. Losing fire is losing the game. So, Jungle Boogie, over Inferno, over Tiny Temple. Back to CTR Gama, who voted for Jungle Boogie. Again lists the pros and cons. Easy, non-linear layout, 2 shortcuts. Good WUMPA crate placement, very small, items are very powerful because every hit is a huge time loss. Very narrow, it's easy to get hit by backspam, missiles, masks. Easy peasy. This means, of course, there is one Terra Way winner with a meteoric 174 votes. Tiny Temple. The track everyone uses to perfect their blue flame prowess. You can gain incredible speeds on this track. Our old friend B-Base writes, I like them all. Jungle Boogie is one of my favourite tracks ever, but I'd have to give it to Tiny Temple for the blue flame. And of course we have to go over to CTR Gama again, who's again lays out the pros and cons. Easy, fastive native blue fire, decent good WUMPA crate placement. The only STP has a bad respawn point. You don't spawn behind it if you get hit off it, meaning you go a full lap without blue fire. The only turbo pad gives you literally no reserves. Bad flow. This track is nice when you get a blue fire run, but when you hit item or hazard, you stop dead where you are. Fire path can be blocked off completely. Severe balance issues due to scarce availability of blue fire and the fast blue fire speed. Every hit puts you so much behind opponents that catching up is basically impossible. It's common for even top players to get overlapped on this track due to the huge speed difference in normal fire versus blue fire. No notable shortcut. The existing one is free and saves barely any time. And again, linear circular layout. Wow, a nice win for Tiny Temple there. But we must move on to the next hub world, BARIN. User Nathan11 maybe thought the voting in this world would be difficult. Summarising, METEOR GORGE is my favourite short track. There's plenty of little jumps you can do and lots of ways to optimise your route. BARIN Ruins is also pretty good. There are plenty of strategic options with the boulder in the middle and the shortcut near the end. Deep sea driving is pretty badly designed though. Blue fire was just slapped onto the track haphazardly and the fans weren't adjusted to accommodate this new feature. You'll run into them at least once because of how ridiculously huge their hitboxes are, how fast they move and how little room you get to move out of the way once you actually see them. 165 of you voted, and in third place with 46 votes is BARIN Ruins. User SMWC23105 stated, "This hub world probably has the most overhated tracks, with deep sea driving being kinda popular but hated for its difficulty, and the other two are generally hated for being simple. My favourite is BARIN Ruins, because it's easy and fun to maintain speed and has probably one of the most unusual themes out of all the tracks. It's an ice track that also has lava, ancient ruins, seahorse statues, and weird industrial machines. How can you not like that?" Sorry, friend. In second place, just pipping BARIN Ruins by 2 votes, is METEOR GORGE. Not a huge amount of love for the snowy tracks, it seems, although I like what Beanox have done to METEOR GORGE to still make it somewhat enjoyable. B-Base agrees, saying, "METEOR GORGE. I love the hills. It's a great track to just bounce down at fire speeds. I also love the shortcut, especially the way it looks with the chasm full of lava." That, of course, leaves one remaining track. The winner with a commendable 71 votes is Deep Sea Driving. Ah, those bloody fan blades. No wonder people are struggling to beat the dev times on this track with bullshittery like that. But a fun track nonetheless. Larry Mantic voted for Deep Sea Driving based on its classic version, while our old friend CTR Gama put his 2 cents in again by saying, "I do very much enjoy Deep Sea Driving. My biggest gripe is probably its balance in multiplayer because of STPs with different fire speeds, but when it comes to how this track generally drives, it's one of the best in the game. The track runs on high reserves and an equally high blue fire speed. You can go for most of the lap without power sliding, and this track is very dynamic with tons of gaps where you can jump around, and of course it has the famous tunnel where you have to interact with the blades. It's one of the most dynamic and fun tracks in the game." I agree. However, Gama did also claim he would eat a broom if Deep Sea Driving won, so watch out for those splinters, buddy. Now, we move on to the third hub world in CNK, namely Phenomena. And this became the closest and hardest poll to vote for. So much so, Crash-Smash-Bash chose to abstain from voting. 229 Redditors voted and only 17 votes separated all 3 racetracks. Here are those results. The unlucky racetrack to come in third with a still respectable 69 votes is Thunderstruck. Nearly all of the comments on this poll were about Thunderstruck, so let's look at them immediately. User Cooper Trooper 1116 said, "I voted Thunderstruck, but damn was it a tough choice between that and Clockwork Wumpa." B-Base, again, thought there would be no contest. Kuni Kunatu was shocked that Thunderstruck didn't have a massive lead. To them, the others don't come close. Our old friend from episode 1, Vic Treasureson, comments, "I would have to go to Thunderstruck, a very dynamic track full of obstacles with a rocking tune to pump you up." Garrett D100 found the voting tough. "This was really hard for me to decide because I like both Clockwork Wumpa and Thunderstruck in Nitro Fueled almost equally, but I think I like Thunderstruck just slightly more." User PP3088 ultimately voted to Thunderstruck, but gave a hella reply, summarising all the tracks. If we were talking about CNK, then the Out of Time would be an easy winner. Probably the best track in the whole game, especially with this magnificent clock anti-gravity segment. I also like the inclusion of those fat green worms that added some layer to the gameplay. No, Big Cog, you are not adding anything of value, be it gameplay-wise or visually-wise. But we are talking about CTRNF, so yeah, this is the most butchered track along with Hyper Spaceway. It is slow and the samey, nothing of visual beauty is to be found there. Compared to the other sand tracks, it is just bland and lifeless. offers nothing great other than making everyone rage with shortcut losing reserves. 2 other tracks were and are great. I prefer Thunderstruck with its rocking soundtrack and very clever track design. Absolutely beast to play and master. One of the hardest shortcuts in the game. Yet I have found one that hates this level. I like the fact that even though there is rain, the main colour of the level is still the toxic green. CLOCKWORK WUMPA is really chilling track with some easy shortcuts and nice details. It is distinct and unique among other levels. There aren't many points where you can put a beaker and get almost 100% chance to ruin someone else's run. So yeah, Thunderstruck. Amen, sir or madam. Sorry you were out of time, because unfortunately in second place, beating Thunderstruck by a measly 5 votes, is out of time. A personal favourite of mine, but user Kunikanatu again commented, disagreeing with the previous Redditor's dissatisfaction of Out of Time. Visually, Out of Time is my favourite track in Nitro Fueled. Everything about it is just so mysterious and alien, especially the floating glass shards in the clock tower. It makes me sad we'll probably never see Phenomena again. It's too bad about the worms though, and the fact that there's no freaking reserves on this track. But that again leaves one winner with 86 votes. CLOCKWORK WUMPA. A fun castle-based track filled with Wumpa-filled machinery and decorations, making you believe you're in some kind of Wumpa-producing conveyor belt factory. It's cool. Plockster52 states, CLOCKWORK WUMPA. Really nice layout and probably my favourite CNK music next to deep sea driving. Another worthy winner. Well, we finally reached the last Crash Nitro Kart Hub world, Techni, but I also included Hyper Spaceway in the votes as to not single it out. Much like Phenomena, a few Redditors found it tough to decide. Classy Crash reckons all 4 of the tracks are contenders to be their favourite tracks in the game. User Curtis the Person 99 says every one of these tracks is great. I can't choose. I think Techni definitely has the best selection of tracks out of any planet/area. Serbian Crusader simply puts, I like them all. 184 Redditors voted. Here are the results. In 4th place, with a poor 17 votes, is Assembly Lane. I don't think many racers hate this track per se, but when it's put up against the other courses, it's easy to see why it came last. The squishy pistons and conveyor belt add a nice challenge, but maybe the dullish brown colours put people off. Who knows? Moving swiftly to 3rd place with 24 votes is Hyper Spaceway. Surprising this one, I was expecting Hyper Spaceway to get a few more votes overall. Did Beanox, in removing the anti-grav sections from the game, also remove the aura and theming of this track? R. Bennett011 doesn't think so, stating, even with the missing sections, my favourite out of all 4 of them is Hyper Spaceway. B-Base also agrees, commenting, this one is tough. I'm torn between Android Alley and Hyper Spaceway. Hyper Spaceway is an excellent final showdown track, while Android Alley makes for some really great close races. Victory in Spaceway usually comes to hitting the shortcut consistently, while in Alley you have to be more on top of maintaining the reserves. But the theming of Hyper Spaceway is just too amazing to not have my vote. The Coliseum section where you have the giant hill and the drop are just perfect. Plus I love a good ramp launch shortcut, so I'm going to say Hyper Spaceway. In 2nd place with 36 votes is Android Alley, Meme Lord Geary's home track. I'm not personally a huge fan of Android Alley. On a lot of the track there is a whole lot of nothing going on. The train's a nuisance too. But user Not With The Flames like Android Alley as it is just too good for grinding coins. Fuzzbead gave us an insight into why he likes this track over our winner. Electron is a good fun track, but it's too long and even maintaining blue fire through the entire track will make it almost 3 minutes. After playing it a couple of times in a row, the track doesn't really still feel as fun. The track design is a bit too wide, which could be okay if a lot of the wide stuff weren't straight lines. Don't get me wrong, Electron is a good track, it's just not my favourite of these. Android, on the other hand, isn't super long, and it may be a bit too wide on some parts, but at least it makes up for it with a bit of challenge. Not a challenge like deep sea driving or Thunderstruck, but some tight spaces. It doesn't get old as fast because of the train mainly, and also just the satisfaction of taking the spiral tightly and cutting the corners. There is a train which is really fun trying to avoid, and a shortcut, or 3 shortcuts if you count corner cuts. The shortcut in this track is really well hidden, not because it's impossible to find out, because it fits in really well with the environment. Electron shortcut is actually also fun, so I don't really have any complaints about that. Overall, I think Android is a more fun and balanced track. Well, you know the winner already. Absolutely destroying the competition with 107 votes is Electron Avenue. If God was a racetrack, he would be Electron Avenue. Many players, myself included, regard this as the best track in the entire game, let alone Crash Nitro Kart. When it comes to reinventing a track, Beanox absolutely undid themselves. Vic Treasureson sums up Electron Avenue nicely, saying, "Electron Avenue by far, the sexy 80s cyberpunk vaporwave aesthetic." That also gives me vibes of Tron, Blade Runner and F-Zero. The complex yet rewarding layout with blue fire pads everywhere in case you make a misstep. The electrifying tune that energizes you immensely as you soar through the futuristic city, decked and coated in neon lights. The rush you get after nailing the speed ghost every lap and DNFing your lobbies. This track has it all, really. Mayor Iguana for the win agrees. Electron Avenue is an S-tier track. Don't get me wrong. Android Alley and Assembly Lane are really good Sacred Fire tracks, and Hyper Spaceway is another great track, but Electron Avenue is easily in my top 3 tracks. Redditor Waluigi Bubsy Plock is in it for the WUMPA coins, while M28A simply writes Electron Avenue is the best track. Wiley04 also commented on the fast pace, stating Android is a close second, but speed! And finally, Nessa Magic says, I love Electron Avenue because the visuals are absolutely stunning and the pacing of the track is excellent. Aside from the vertical dual pad section, which was largely the swap out for the anti-grav, the whole track is paced well. If you watched the CTR track vid, you know I sadistically needed to know the ultimate racetrack. And I'm doing that again, sticking the 4 winners of the polls into one final poll to crown the ultimate Crash Nitro Kart racetrack in CTR Nitro Fueled. Tiny Temple, Deep Sea Driving, Clockwork WUMPA, and Electron Avenue. 187 Redditors voted. Who would come out on top? 4th place, with 23 votes, is Deep Sea Driving. 3rd place, with 28 votes, is Tiny Temple. 2nd place, with 37 votes, is Clockwork WUMPA, which means the winner with a very dominating 99 votes is Electron Avenue. So there we have it, guys. Electron Avenue is r/Crash Bandicoot's favourite CNK racetrack in Nitro Fueled. Again, it is important to realise that this is all subjective. Garrett D100 wants to know if I'm going to make one for the bonus tracks. Yes. Yes, I am. Well, if you enjoyed this video and want to be a part of any upcoming videos, be sure to subscribe to this channel and of course follow the Crash Bandicoot subreddit. Link in the description. Thanks to everyone who participated and commented on my polls. This vid couldn't have been made without you. See you all next time. Bye!